In this video, we're going to take a look at the brand new lineup from Callaway Golf in the driver category. We've got 4 heads we're going to have a little look at. We're going to run through the technology, and there's some new technology from Callaway that they've never done before. Let's check it all out in this video. So the name of the new driver lineup is Quantum from Callaway Golf. We've got actually 5 heads they've introduced, but I've got 4 of them because one of those heads is only available in the US and Asia and not in the European market, so I haven't got that particular head. But the 4 main heads we're going to really look at, we've got the Quantum Max, so pretty much the standard head. A lot of golfers will move into this particular model. We've then got the Max D, which is your draw biased version. Moving then into your triple diamond that we've seen before. And then we've got a new triple diamond option, which is the Max. We have seen a little bit of that on tour previously, but it's never come to market, and that is doing now in this Quantum lineup for 2026. Right, so let's quickly look around the head first on initial looks and impressions. And I think when you look at the sole of the golf club now, a much improved look in comparison to the Elite from last year. I thought that was a bit poor, looked a little bit cheap in a way on the bottom of the golf club. So this is now much more of a modern look, see some visible technology, which we're going to obviously run through. We've got the Quantum Max and the Max D, which has this sort of bright grey section at the back. And then we move into the Triple Diamond, which has this more of this carbon sort of sole. So 2 slightly different looks as you work through the models. So we've got OptiFit sleeve, which again gives us all those settings. That hasn't changed in terms of loft light, etc. We've got a weight chamber in the back of the head, which is movable and it's not open. It's now all enclosed. So a little bit of a cleaner, more neater sort of weight system there than maybe we've seen in previous models. You look at like Epic back in the day was an open track. You know, stuff got in there, debris got in there. This is a lot more cleaner, a bit more sleek. We then move into the crown of the head, and first impressions here now for me, it's an AI smoke look. So remember that a couple of generations ago. Beautiful carbon gloss top with that matte front section there. I really like it. So there's nothing wrong with that. It's just a very Callaway sort of look. And then the real big talking point is the club face. We've got this Tri-Force face, which we are going to talk more in depth as we go through this video. We're going to start things off with the Quantum Max. As I mentioned, this is the more standard model from the range that they offer. A lot of golfers will get into this sort of model. So let's have a little look into that playing position to start off with. I've got this at 9 degree and I've got it set at 9 degree, and straight first instincts, it sits very nice and square behind the golf ball. Carbon gloss top, matte front section there. Just frames the ball very, very nice. We've just got a little Quantum logo on the inside of heel, very subtle there, which I like. And then we've just got that little chevron at the top of the driver as a little bit of a alignment aid. That's a good crack. It's a good sound, a very solid, quite a firm feel initially there on that first feel. 11 launch, 2,000 spin. Quite a low spin there for that first particular shot, getting out of 292. The real big talking point from Callaway in this era of drivers is speed. So we've talked a lot about forgiveness. We've talked a lot about getting the ball straight and more accuracy on mishits, and we've seen that across a lot of the brands. Callaway have now switched back into this speed element. They want to chase this speed. Strokes gained data shows that speed and distance is definitely winning tournaments. So they want to go back into that area, and they've done a lot with this AI face. That is still there, hasn't changed, but you notice we've got the word Tri-Force. This is the huge talking point. We've got 3 materials on the club face now. This has never been done before from Callaway. So we've got titanium, we've then got a poly mesh, and then at the back, we've now got some carbon face. Now, we have seen carbon faces before, but not a mixture of materials like we have in this particular driver. So titanium has gone really thin. And when they get aggressive with the AI, the lumps and bumps behind the club face to help with speed, spin, retention, everything like that, and trying to get that ball speed up, it can potentially break when they really get aggressive with the AI. So they're now strengthening it with this poly mesh and then also the carbon at the back of the driver. This is really strengthening it and really encouraging more ball speed. That's what it's all about. Oh, that's a cracker. That's a beautiful ball flight. That looks to be hanging that air for a long time. Good launch there, 13 area, 1800 spin. So quite low spin. Bear in mind, this is the Max head. That's quite a nice low spin number. As long as you can get that launch up and getting out at 297. That feels really solid off the club face. Quite a firm feel, I would say, maybe in comparison to previous drivers. Oh, that's a bad swing from me. I've just pulled that. Strike was decent enough. Pulled up the left-hand side. That's just going to ruin my dispersion that I've just started off very nicely with. Put that in the bunker. Oh, that's a cracker. That does feel quite fast. Clubhead speed was a little bit quicker, granted, on that one. 162 ball, again, very low on that spin. Spin surprised me a little bit there. I thought that spin might be a little bit higher for the Max model. So I think for the brands, as they're trying to really push the boundaries of adding a lot of speed, but also having that balance of accuracy or miss hits, you know, and you know, playing around with material and getting it really thin. The titanium face on this now is 14% thinner. But as we mentioned, that's going to create some weaknesses in the club face. So this is where then the polymesh sits behind that titanium, and then you've got the carbon, which... Oh, right, okay, that was a little bit in that heel. Just give me that little bit of cut shape there, but still felt pretty solid, held its line quite nicely. And spin, granted, from that heel strike has gone up, but it's only gone up a tiny bit. Just over or just under 2,300 from a Healy contact. I'd take that all day long, if I'm being honest. So just working over into the back of the driver and this weight system, which is quite new now from Callaway, because it's all now sort of hidden underneath. So it's a bit more of a cleaner look. It flows over without any sort of big track or exposed open track where you're going to slide that weight along. We've got two weights. We've got a little red one and also a black one. The red one is a 9-gram weight and the black one is a 1 gram. So obviously we can switch those around, slightly heel or slightly toe, depending on your maybe strike patterns and also maybe the direction of the shot that you're trying to achieve. So some nice subtle adjustability. Right, so moving on, I've put the shaft, and if anybody's wondering what shaft I'm actually using here, I've got the Tensai 1K black in a 65X with my multi-compound +4 grip. So I'll put that shaft now into the Quantum Max D head. So the D obviously stands for draw. We've seen this before. When we first look at the sole of the club, similar look. We've got that little grey sections on the heel and toe of the sole. So it's a very similar look to the Max, but now we lose that weight track. So there's no movable weight in this. There's an internal weight, a little bit more in that heel, which obviously gives us a little bit more of that draw biased sort of performance to it. So really this is aimed at more of golfers trying to maybe just reduce that sort of right miss as a right-handed golfer and try and get that club face squared up a little bit more. So 460cc head again with the Max, but this is now a little bit, for me, impressions, it just looks a little bit longer from front to back. So a little bit more stretched out in the head, very confident, inspiring there. The good thing I really like with this is, again, as I sit that down, 9-degree head, I've set it as a 9-degree, it still sits square. So some draw drivers really sit toed in, which again might help certain golfers who really suffer with that, but you can also use and take advantage of the OptiFit neck sleeve here to put it into the D setting in the sleeve, which will make it a little bit more upright, which again is another way of trying to reduce a right miss. So I'll hit a couple with this Max D, and then we'll move into the triple diamond. Okay, that has worked a little bit more up the left, a little bit of a draw. It was slightly toe, granted. So that's just moved that ball up the left. And that's why that spin has been really pulled down there now, 1400. So that's more strike than the club head I would take. I'll have obviously another look at another shot. A little bit higher on that flight. Again, a little bit toe, to be honest. I might expect that spin to be a little bit low again, to be honest. Yeah, there it is, 1800, so just a little bit more of that strike there. I think it might be a little bit more on that lower spin sort of area, this particular drive, but I don't think that's a bad thing for golfers who probably come a little bit out to in across it, who obviously will suffer with the slice. Generally are high spinners of the golf ball, so as they move that ball and lose it a bit to the right, they also lose a lot of distance because of the extra backspin produced on that golf ball. Okay, that was a little bit of a better strike there. Just actually drifted a little bit to the right, but not too far. Yeah, and there's that spin. That spin's just gone up. I'll probably expect it to be in around that number. Again, subject to strike. We know, and I say this a lot in my videos, where you hit it on the club face will have a big influence on how that ball spins. High in the face towards the toe typically will pull spin away. Low and towards the heel will generally add more spin to the shot. So you've got to understand your strike patterns, and that's where getting into a fitting with something like a TrackMan is so important to measure your strike and to see where that spin is and how then you can potentially try and improve that strike through either shaft length or lie angle to help you get more consistent spin numbers. Right, so we've now moved the shaft over into the Quantum Triple Diamond. So now we see a little bit more of what Callaway would call a tour-inspired head, a little bit more compact. It's a 450cc head, so it's 10cc smaller, but then it's also made a little bit more squat look, little bit of a deeper club face. Big differences here now when we turn the club over, we see a full 360 carbon chassis. A stronger version of what we've seen in the past, but a little bit of a different look in comparison to the Max and the Max D. The reason for that is obviously as they're trying to get the CG a little bit more forward to make this club a little bit more of a lower spin version for maybe the faster swing speed golfers out there. They need to save some weight, and obviously they're going to do that with this carbon chassis. We see the weight track come back into the driver now, so we have got that option. Again, 10 grams in total, 9 and 1 gram. We can flip them from heel to toe, depending on your strike pattern and your shot desire. And of course, we've still got this Tri-Force face. That's going to stay out through all the whole range. So Triple Diamond, as we know, a little bit more compact, maybe not quite as confident inspiring, but sits really nice. Again, sits incredibly square. We now lose that Quantum logo in the heel section, and we also lose the little arrow chevron on the top. So it's a very cleaner sort of look in terms of that, but we still get the black gloss carbon and the matte grey front section. It's a good strike. It's just peeling up that right-hand side. This, in terms of the Triple Diamond, tends to be a little bit more of an anti-left sort of type of club. Sits very square, if anything, maybe just a fraction open. So the golfer doesn't want to miss it left. This is also a good option. So we see there on that shot there, that 1800 spin. Now, we did see some low spin numbers with that Max head, which was a little bit surprising for me. But we should see some, again, low spin numbers with the Triple Diamond. Yeah, again, so I'm just seeing that little bit of that left to right shape. It's not too aggressive by any means, but it's just working up that right-hand side a little bit more. That's a good strike. Just square the face up a little bit more on that particular one. Just move a touch up that left, fractionally, but again, low spin, 1600. So definitely in that low spin area, you've just got to be careful that doesn't get too low, potentially, again, subject to your delivery. But don't forget, you've got OptiFit sleeve here. So if you feel you see that ball move a little bit to the right and you want to try and straighten up, you've also got a draw setting in there as well, just to maybe help with you that. And again, you've got some loft adjustability. So I feel like if you want to get your spin down and you quite like that sort of compact look, that a little bit more squat look, this is a great option. See, that's a bit of a missed strike. Missed up the right a little bit again, but done pretty well. 295, again in that low spin. Miss hits are still very forgiving. Even though we've gone a little bit more compact in that 450cc, we've still got some nice forgiveness. I think the Triple Diamond over the years has got more friendlier, a little bit more forgiving, because everybody likes a little bit of forgiveness, I'm guessing, in the driver. Oh, a little bit off the toe. I'll take that as a miss hit again. That will be a little bit more low spin, toe strike. There we go. Okay, now moving on to a brand new addition from Callaway in the lineup, and it's a Triple Diamond Max. Now, we did see a glimpse of the Triple Diamond Max last year with the Elite, but it never came to retail. It was a tour-only product. They've now brought it out to retail. So the idea of the Max here, as the name suggests, is a little bit of a larger footprint, but still in that low spin driver area. So we can still see that 360 carbon chassis. We've just gone up to a 460cc head, so 10cc larger than the Triple Diamond. So it's giving you that little bit more of a footprint, and I think I would agree, when you look at that, it's just now a little bit longer from that front to the back. Again, no logoing on the top, no Quantum logoing in that heel. So we've got that Triple Diamond look, but just a slightly bigger footprint. So this is probably for the player who wants to keep that low spin, but maybe just wants a little bit more forgiveness with that head just pulled back. The weight just comes back a little bit more. We know that just increases that MOI fractionally. Oh, and that's a good strike. That's a great flight. I think all of these drivers had a very Callaway sound, I would probably say. Very solid off the club face. I think this is edging a little bit on the harder side of a feel off the face, but it's a real good positive crack. Definitely a carbon sort of sound to it as well. Oh, and again, yeah, that wasn't perfect on the strike. Not as good as that first one. Little bit heel side. You can see it's just put a little bit of left to right spin on that fraction. Spin's gone up a tiny bit, but 2,000. Again, it's keeping it in that low spin area. And for a strike that wasn't quite perfect, I'm edging up to that 300 marker. So I think for me personally, I prefer the Max just over the triple diamond. Just regards to that slightly bigger footprint, just gives me a little bit of confidence that I've got some forgiveness in there if I'm missing my strike, but I'm still getting that nice, clean look in a way. That's a good strike. But straight flying flight on that. Looks strong as well. Yeah, 1600. So it's definitely in that low spin area again. And there's that slight heel shot again for me. Fractionally, gives me that little bit of cut spin. Interested to see what spin goes up to. Yeah, so 2,289. That's not, I would expect that to be more. Okay, one more with a Max. Yeah, that's nice, like that. Yeah, me personally, if I'm going triple diamond, I would just edge a little bit more towards that Max, just to help a little bit more with that sort of forgiveness levels there. But as a whole, I think the standard Max was really quite a nice driver, and that was quite a low spin for me personally. But again, highlight here, really for you to go and get fit yourselves. Post comments down below. Let me know your thoughts on the Callaway lineup for 2026. Plenty more review videos coming your way. We've got the fairways to look at. We've got hybrids, we've got the irons across a lot of the brands throughout January. It's going to be a busy season for launches. So do subscribe, hit that bell, and then you will not miss a video going forward. Appreciate your support as always, and hopefully catch up with you all very soon.